right, this is a news story within the music world. I actually made a post in the community tab about, I think last week when the news dropped, but it was disappointing. But Silk Sonic, I mean, they've put out just two songs this year. Leave the Door Open, if I'm not mistaken, dropped sometime in March, and it's still a major hit. And they finally released their second song, Skate, on July 30th. Now, that particular song, to me, maybe I haven't heard it enough times. I think, like, once they do it live or something, it hasn't grown on me the same way Leave the Door Open has. But Skate, that beat alone, the infectious beat, is just summertime wrapped up in a single. But the disappointment for me was the unfortunate news that the album, which was supposed to come out this fall, has been pushed back to January 2022. But after reading the article from Rolling Stone, and I will leave a link to the full article in the top comment below, Bruno explained that they pretty much talked it over and they wanted to drop more songs from the album as opposed to dropping it all at once, because they want to let each song breathe a little bit before putting out the LP, because they don't want to be binge watched. And I respect that. It's just that when you look at how the music industry has been for the past 5 years to the past decade, people don't really work on solid albums anymore. That's not to say there aren't artists who put out great albums. It's just that the public at large doesn't usually take the time nowadays to appreciate a solid body of work. Hit singles, sure. Songs crafted for social media platforms like TikTok or Snapchat, of course. But in terms of a solid body of work and something that's going to last longer than just a couple of weeks, I mean, no offense to those like Cardi B or any of these other big name artists nowadays, but not too many of them put out music that I feel will stand the test of time. Leave the Door Open alone. I mean, if you're familiar with 90s R&B, or more specifically Babyface and what he did on Soul Food, Milestone, that fictional group he had with two of his brothers from After 7, and I believe, was it Casey and JoJo, if I'm not mistaken? But basically they came together as a group. I Care About You. That song is amazing, and it reminds me of Silk Sonic, where you have two popular musical artists come together to form a greater collective. And Leave the Door Open, I mean, if they only put out Leave the Door Open, that would have been enough. I mean, that song alone, I see lasting 20, 30 years down the line and still being a hit as soon as you cut the music. I sound old now. The music. Well, no, the record player. I mean, you could say that, because vinyl, obviously, is making a comeback. You turn it on and people are going to feel that first note of music. But I know I saw this tweet, like, when the news broke that the album would be pushed back, I bet Silk Sonic wasn't even a group. They put out Leave the Door Open, and the fact that it blew up so big, people wanted more, so they rushed together to get an album. But essentially, let me just say, I enjoyed reading this Rolling Stone article from start to finish, because it gave me a greater appreciation for what it is these guys are doing, because of the fact that we don't have too many collaborations nowadays. Sure, we got features and collaborations on like one song, two songs, and this and that, but I'm talking about artists coming together to create an entire body of work. I remember back in the day, what was it, Omarion and Bow Wow teamed up on the Face Off album? And that's the only one I could think of in recent time, like artists that I followed at a time that came together for a project. Like, I would love to see like The Weeknd and Bruno Mars on the same album. I don't know if I can handle that. That's just too much. Like, oh my gosh. But I just love the fact that Bruno Mars definitely pays homage. He doesn't steal, but he pays homage to the musical acts and the sound that inspired him when he was younger. And the fact that Leave the Door Open definitely has that 70s vibe to it. Come on now. It sounds like something that could have came out back when my parents would watch Soul Train or something like that. But with Silk Sonic, I feel like they're definitely going to make each hit or each single come out and run its course. I know that the album probably would have come out this fall, but I think Leave the Door Open blew so many minds and it stayed on the charts for so long that they didn't want to step on their own toes. It's like, you know what, let Leave the Door Open run its course. I remember doing a video about the BET Awards where they won an award for the song as well as did the live performance, and you know, they teased us with a second single, but it's like, nah, until this song isn't in the top 10 anymore, we're not putting out another song. And then it dropped, and then they put out Skate, which I don't believe at this point in time has ever cracked the top 10. I'm looking at the charts now. It cracked the top 4 on the US Hot R&B and Hip Hop Songs on Billboard, but in terms of, like, you know, Billboard Hot 100, it only got up to 14. I think it will probably climb up the charts if they did a live performance or something along those lines. The music video is great. It definitely reminded me of what was that song Michael Jackson did? I think it was Rock With You. That was like a skater's anthem. I believe I was watching the road from Motown to Off the Wall, or Journey from Motown to Off the Wall, and basically it was just that song every skater would have on their radio when they were skating. And I feel like Leave the Door Open, that definitely is the monster hit. I'm not saying it's going to be the best song off the album. I mean, let me put it this way, it set the bar so high. If there's another song on the album that even comes close to Leave the Door Open, I'll be in awe. I feel like each song, it reminds me of like the early albums of Taylor Swift where, or let me just say 1989 or Red, each song was just a monster single. I feel like Silk Sonic could probably do the same thing. But let me know your thoughts. I mean, the article itself just really breaks down how these two collaborated. I believe back in 2016 they met in Europe. Anderson .Paak and his group was opening up for the 24 Karat Magic Tour, and about a weekend they were in the studio together, and they went in on no specific reason beyond their the fact that they admire each other and their work. And basically Silk Sonic kind of became a thing back then. They just didn't act upon it. And then they talk about in the article how the pandemic honestly was kind of like a blessing in disguise, because it could be argued that if not for the quarantine, Silk Sonic wouldn't have become a passion project, because they probably both would have been out on their own respective tours. But due to like the world shutting down, it's kind of like they were able to kind of pick up where they left off in 2016 and, well, make this sound. I mean, Paak pretty much says Silk Sonic's foundation is the 60s, 70s, and old school. So I mean, if you didn't get that vibe from Leave the Door Open and Skate, then I don't know what to tell you. But other than that, guys, all I have to say is I can't wait for the rest of their music to come out. I know January seems like a far cry from the fall of 2021, but think about it this way. Next week, this time, we'll be in the beginning stages of September. And before you know it, it's going to be Christmas, then New Year's, and then January. So Silk Sonic's album, as long as it doesn't get pushed back like the MCU films, I feel like we'll be okay. So I can't wait to see what that third single is going to be. I would imagine they would put it out maybe in October. It just depends on whether or not Skate will be able to be performed live to any events in the near future to help it boost up its Billboard numbers. But with that being said, guys, let me know your thoughts on Silk Sonic deciding to postpone their album. Do you think it's the right move? Honestly, I don't think it matters. I feel like this album is going to be a hit regardless of whenever it comes out. But on top of that, I just love that there are still artists out there who are actually taking their time to craft passion projects. And I mean, in the article, it just talks about how Bruno is like a technician, a perfectionist. Like, he will run a song back over and over again to make sure everything is perfect. So that alone lets me know it's going to be worth the wait. So let's talk about it in the comments. What are some of your favorite Bruno or Anderson .Paak songs? Any recommendations for me? I'd love to check them out. And with that being said, I think you will enjoy the article. I cannot wait for this Rolling Stone issue to be on the shelves. Yes, I know I can read it online, which I did this morning, but I want to have the physical copy because the cover photo with Silk Sonic is awesome. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you all in the next video.